Well, hello, and welcome back to another episode of our podcast, New Steeple.
Same people.
My name is Jeff.
And I am Scott.
And we're here today with some special guests. This is the podcast where we talk about what's going on at Johnson Street, kind of dig a little deeper into why we do what we do.
Yeah.
And so today we wanted to talk about our campus ministry. So we brought our campus ministers with us today. So welcome to Sam and Jerrica. I'm glad you're here.
Okay, insert applause track here.
That's right.
Nice. Did you hear that applause? Isn't that great? Okay. All right. Glad you're here. Jerrica, I'm so glad you're here.
Thank you.
I know this is it's been a little rough getting Jerrica into the table area for this podcast, but you're here. So if anything, just smile and nod your head. Okay, but I'm going to start with you. So we usually start by just asking us to tell us who you are, because there may be some people watching or listening that don't really know who you are. So tell us a little bit about who you are, Jerrica. How about we start with you?
Okay, so I'm Jerrica Osbourn, and I've been at campus ministry for 10 years now. This is the end of my 10th year.
Wow.
So.
And you're kind of like you have seniority of all the staff
Yeah,
now, right?
I'm now the oldest one on staff.
Awesome.
You are the oldest. I'm not going to say that anymore. You are the seasoned veteran of the group.
Seasoned.
Is that right? And you've been here for over 10 years, and you've seen the campus center kind of evolve considerably since you've been there. Am I right?
Yeah, I would say it has drastically changed.
And so you're married, and you've got two little kids.
I have a son that's 11. His name is Jimmy, and a little girl that's 6 named Kaylee.
Nice.
They keep us on our toes.
Yes, they do. Church-wide.
Yes.
That's good. Okay, Sam, tell us a little bit about who you are.
Yeah, so I'm Sam. I'm the new guy. I'm probably the newest on staff here at Johnson Street. I got here in July of last year, so I'm finishing my first year of campus ministry here, but this will wrap up my 6th year total in campus ministry. I have a beautiful wife named Amanda, who is a teacher. God bless her. God bless all the teachers out there.
Amen.
I've loved being here at Johnson Street so far, and it's been an incredible journey, and it's been a little busy, but it's been good.
So you said this is your 6th year?
6th year.
Where were you before coming here?
I was in Lubbock, Texas. I did part-time campus ministry, if you can define part-time.
Is there part-time ministry?
I don't think there's part-time ministry, but I did it part-time. I was paid part-time at Monterey Church of Christ in Lubbock. This was where I grew up. I went to church there, and I had this incredible opportunity to be given the opportunity to be their campus minister, and man, it was fun. I enjoyed it.
Good place. I was married there. Did you know that?
Where?
At Monterey.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Back in their old building. They have a newer building now.
A little bit newer, yeah.
Nice. And you're still married, so it worked.
It worked. So far, so good.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So you have come from Lubbock. You've been here for 10 years, and y'all have, I would say y'all have kind of come into a season of ministry together during a very interesting time. You know, if you're watching this or listening, years later, we used to have something called COVID. It's actually still around in some way, shape, or form. But you guys have kind of entered into this ministry together, seasoned veteran, kind of the new guy, in a brand new building, into a new season. So just for a second, I just want you to kind of tell us a little bit about maybe that process of how we got the new building and kind of what's happened since COVID has kind of subsided a little bit. How has that changed what you do?
So as far as the new building, unfortunately, we went through the whole process of remodeling everything, and then literally we had the grand opening in January and COVID hit in March. So it was like, yay! Oh. So this semester has actually been kind of our first semester to do full ministry in the new building. We did the best we could with COVID, to-go meals and things like that. But this has been our first semester to really be able to have students in the building the way we want and interact the way we want. So it's been really good.
Because when it comes to campus ministry, one of the main things that you offer is free food. Yeah, that's probably one of the biggest appeals, right?
Yeah.
You reach college kids through their stomach. That's what if I've learned anything in campus ministry, good food will get kids in a building. Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah, I can't talk too much about the building project because I just got to come into a new building and it was awesome. but yeah, I think COVID did a number on a lot of things. I think we've talked about it in churches basically all the time. Is COVID did some damage, but like Jerrica said, this is the first semester or really school year that we've had to open up the building and allow students to be in the building, to use the building. We could use it to its full capacity. And, there were times when we have, 140 students in the building, which is a lot of kids. And then throughout the week, the building's open and kids can come in and do homework, play ping pong, watch TV, sleep on couches, which is a very popular activity for some of them to do.
You got nice couches.
They're nice. Yeah, I've taken a nap on those couches. So they're good. But yeah, I think this has been a really good opportunity for us to just open up our ministry to allow students who don't know who we are to come in and get to know us a little bit.
Yeah, that's good. So started at Campus Center, 1965.
Right.
That was when the building was made. Mm-hmm. And I know whenever we were doing this pitch to the congregation to say, hey, we really need to remodel and update our campus center, we started looking at images throughout the decades and how the campus itself has changed. And the one constant, even as the cars were changing and as the landscape was changing, the campus center was exactly the same.
Exactly the same.
1965 building on a 2021 campus.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure the only thing in all those years that changed was some wall color and the carpet. That was it.
Which, has its own little quaintness. Yeah. But you still need bigger space for the things you wanted to do today. So we remodeled the big thing. And initially it was about the Bible chair. It was where we taught Bible classes.
Right.
We don't do that anymore.
No, we're not allowed to teach Bible class for credit anymore at ASU.
So how did that whole emphasis change what it is that the campus ministry was all about?
Well, I mean, that's part of the reason why we had to remodel was the original structure was meant for a classroom. And so a large portion of our space was meant to teach. And that wasn't big enough to do the things that we wanted to do, which are much more social geared. And so now with the new building and the big space, we can do things like have the entire football team for a lunch and just, be in fellowship with them, which never would have happened in the old building.
Yeah. So let's kind of highlight some of the things that you guys are doing. What are, for our people that are watching or listening, what exactly are some of the things that you guys do in the campus ministry?
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the big things we put an emphasis on is, even though we're not the Bible chair, Jerrica and I still value educating people on the gospel. And so we have small groups that meet a couple times a week, different individual groups that have anywhere from 8 to 12. Sometimes they've gotten as big as, I think, 17 students who go through Bible studies. And so, those happen at different times throughout the week. And that's been a really cool thing for us to be able to allow them to still be educated on the gospel, still learn about Jesus, but not in the formal class setting. Right. And we've allowed students to kind of help us build those classes, help teach those classes, and we've changed it to a much more of a conversation, kind of discussion-based class, which has been a really good move for us because we've got a lot of really good involvement there.
And you actually have like a student leadership team now, right?
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about like how that came about or what they do and how involved they are in kind of your day-to-day stuff.
Yeah, so back when I was in Lubbock, I had the opportunity to hire interns, which was really good because I could pay kids to come and do stuff. Well, we don't really have that opportunity here. So Jerrica and I talked pretty early on that, hey, we need students who are going to help us lead. Because if we've learned anything in the combined 16 years we've been doing campus ministry is that every year we get older, the harder it is for us to relate to students. So we need students to help us relate to their peers. And culture changes on a college campus almost every week, it seems like. And so we developed kind of a model that would help bring some students in who are kind of really involved in our group, and they would help us plan events, kind of pick directions, and we would kind of walk through that with them. But they really gave us the ideas on how to best reach students at ASU, because that's who we're trying to reach. And so we have, we started with 12, and as the semester goes up and down, I think we still have about 8 or 10 that are still helping us and are going to come back for next semester and help us tackle the fall. So that's been a really cool addition to what we've done.
Yeah, that's it. And I've really enjoyed watching a lot of those students participate in something else that I wanted to talk about, and that's our Sunday night worship times. And those have kind of evolved over the last year or two. But having those students directly involved in planning that and then participating and leading that has been really neat to be a part of. But tell us about kind of what Sunday night worship has been and what it is now, and kind of why you guys are experimenting with changing things up.
Yeah.
So I'd say what it was much more just lecture based, I think. And I think we finally realized that, students get lectured to all day at school. They probably don't want to learn about God that way. So we've really kind of started to shift more towards some conversation, or students sharing their testimony about how God has worked in their life. And, when we started, it was all a cappella worship, but, I would say probably less than 1% of our students are from Church of Christ. So a cappella is very foreign to them.
Right.
And so in order to invite people into our worship, we have started incorporating some instrumental worship, which the students have had a very positive feedback on.
Right, right. Yeah, so many people think it's this idea of an either or.
Right.
But what I found is that, you kind of meet people where they are and you introduce them to some new things. And so if they just come in and all you're doing is engaging in practices that are really comfortable for you, but not necessarily for them, it may be something that kind of turns them off, or it's just a barrier before they even get into the door.
Yeah.
And so to find a way to meet them where they are, use their language, and kind of draw them into something even new has been something that I think y'all have been really successful at.
Yeah, the whole growth idea, with just a cappella and instrumental, there have been kids this semester who, they walk in and we do a cappella worship and they're frozen. They don't know what we're doing. And I think that if they just understood kind of the why, that's a part of growth. And so we've had a really good semester of worship, and I think those Sunday night shifts have been really healthy for us. We used to do them once a week.
Right.
That's a lot of work to coordinate a once a week meal and worship event.
Small groups would always get involved and they would help, but it was quite an ordeal.
Yeah, it was big, and it took a lot of what we could do outside of that time, just personally for us to be able to get involved with our church a little bit more. I know Jerrica's got a small group that she's sort of been involved in for the last 10 years, but never been able to go because...
I get to go in the summers.
Yeah, and so being able to shift to that one Sunday a month, we kind of put all of our effort into 1 week, promote it really well, and I think our involvement from the campus has grown. The crawfish boil we did in the middle of the semester had something like 60 kids.
And again, the food is a pretty nice draw.
Big draw. And so that's been a really healthy shift for us to make.
Because y'all the latest scoop there one night too, and a lot of people...
Yeah, I think we had like 170 students eat barbecue and the latest scoop, and that was kind of to kick off our school year. And due to that event, we've met students who, are some of our leaders and who've been here all year, and we've developed really deep relationships with them because of that. And so I think that we try to emulate that every week on every month on one Sunday, and it's been a really good move for us, I think.
That's great. That is great. And the latest scoop is not a sponsor of this show yet.
Not a sponsor.
But just so you know, they're a very wonderful organization.
Yes, we love the latest.
We love the latest scoop.
Love it.
Just FYI. But what I found is that the ongoing nature of the way kind of we used to kind of promote and support the system, just this ongoing regiment of events. It's just it's just hard to maintain, and especially whenever you have small groups who come and they don't necessarily get to see all the students. Maybe there's just a few students there that night, and we're going to talk about that in just a little bit. But talk a little bit about how the events that you do, how they've been able to reach some students, maybe in a positive way that maybe has surprised you. Is there a story?
Man, I know that there is. I'll go back to Brian, one of our student leaders, who's going to be our youth intern. I don't know if I can announce it yet.
Yeah.
But I distinctly remember him coming to a couple of the events at the beginning of the year. In fact, we were looking through some pictures, and I saw this picture of 170 kids, and then I saw Brian at the end of a table kind of just sitting by himself eating, and I felt so bad because nobody was there to talk to him. But I reached out to him and spent the first couple of weeks of the semester, going to lunch with him, talking with him, and he's grown to being a student who is not just involved at the campus center, incredibly involved at the campus center, but has started to really love Johnson Street Church of Christ in a way that I don't know if I've ever seen in campus ministry. I mean, I've done it at Monterey, and this kid who doesn't really have a whole lot of history with the church has now fallen in love with the church and wants to get involved and wants to help. And I think that because of some of those events that we've done, that we've geared it towards reaching the community, has brought him in and allowed us to develop a relationship with him that's so deep.
Yeah, the guy's all in.
He's all in. He's all in. Yeah.
And I can't imagine seeing Brian sitting alone anywhere.
Yeah.
But that he's been able to kind of come in and establish himself in such a way is I think is a testament to what it is you guys do.
Yeah.
But I do want to talk about a little bit about the why, because I think that's an important part of really why we started this podcast, is to kind of let you know a little bit more about who we are, what we do, but also why we do it. And one of the statements that was made to me a while back, and I think we were talking about it too, is what is campus ministry for? Is it just so that we can have campus students be members at Johnson Street? So I wanted to talk to you a little bit. Tell me a little bit more about why you do what you do. Why do we do this for our students? Is it to make them members or what?
I don't think so. I mean, for me, campus ministry is a huge part of my life, but I recognize that the college years are probably some of the hardest years in a person's life. It's a time when they're trying to figure out what they believe, if they believe. It's really when they decide that faith is theirs and not because someone told them to believe it. But then on top of that, a lot of times this is the time in life when people have experienced loss or trauma or hurt, and now they don't have a support system. They feel all alone in the world. And then you put on top of all of that, they're trying to figure out who they're going to be and what they're going to do for the rest of their life. And so for me, it's about having the opportunity to come alongside these students and show them the love of God and be that support system for them and point them back to Jesus every day, when they are questioning all those things. Yeah,
I love the idea of, the campus center as a mission point, and going into a new culture and something that may not be what you're used to, and taking them where they're at and loving them and coming alongside them, teaching them, and then you send them out. Because, I think that's got to be one of the difficulties of your position, is just because you're constantly getting new students and seeing, old ones off. And so that constant just rotation has got to be difficult. But
it never's gotten easier when you get connected to kids, and then this year a couple of them are graduating, and I've only been here for one school year, and it's a little hard when you're like, hey, I'm proud of you because you're graduating, but I'm also a little sad because you're leaving, and that's tough. But I know that you can do so much good where you're going.
Yeah, and so your goal, one of the whys you have, is not necessarily to make it to where when these kids graduate, they stay in San Angelo, love San Angelo, but it may not be the place for everyone. And so your goal isn't just to encourage them to stay here and be members at Johnson Street, and it's really to kind of teach and send, right?
Yeah. I mean, God's call to us before Jesus ascended was to go and make disciples of all nations. And, oftentimes a lot of the nations come to us. A lot of people come to us. And I think discipleship has got to be kind of at the forefront of what we do. And that's relationships, one, with students. I mean, our why is to build relationships. And I think relationships are kind of the key to everything. Then once you develop a relationship with them, like Brian, for example, I can then help him see what it would be like for him to be a disciple. And then I can help him go and make disciples amongst his peers. And I can go help him work through his journey of faith. And I think to answer the question, do we want kids to come to Johnson Street? Absolutely. We would love for students who stay in San Angelo to go to Johnson Street, but that's not, I don't think that's why. I think that if anything, we want them to go out and make disciples wherever they go. And so, that's kind of a tough balance, because we want them to stay, we want them to be involved, but we also know, San Angelo is not a place for when college kids graduate. It's probably not on the top of their list of places to stay. And so we have to recognize they're probably not going to. And so we have to trust that what we're doing with them at the campus center will make an impact wherever they go.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I mean, you really are encountering multiple nations here on campus. I don't know do y'all know how many different nationalities are represented here?
I mean, we've got students from Mexico. I met a student from Germany, Finland.
Right.
Kenya, Jamaica,
Vietnam.
Yeah, Korea.
They
were from Korea.
Yeah, I mean, there are a lot of...
Not north yet.
No, not yet.
One day, right?
We'll see.
Still praying for that.
Yeah. But we've met a lot of students from all over the world,
right,
and had the chance to meet them. And I think that's part of why we do it.
And what happens here is that they have a chance to encounter the gospel lived out in this small, little, 6,000 square foot space.
Yep.
And that interaction, what we're banking on is that interaction is going to feed into their mindset of what the gospel is and what their place is in the world.
Yeah.
They take that back to their country, and we've suddenly, missioned their country without even having to go there.
Absolutely.
Right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Just through interactions, through free food, through just one Sunday evening, or through a comedian coming in, or a guitarist coming in on a Wednesday or a Thursday or a Friday.
Yep.
Just through these interactions. It's so huge what you guys do.
Yep.
So with that in mind, some people will come and they'll support and they'll make this food, and then when they get there, they may only see 10 to 15 students. And I know that student life is fluid, and all of the their attendance is not necessarily guaranteed at any given moment, which is why y'all do so many things.
Right.
But what do you say to those people who think, wow, we just spent all this money on this campus center and we're doing this, and y'all only have 15 students that I'm making the dinner for? I've heard that. And I know that comes from a good place, but what do you say to that? Why? What is the why behind that statement?
Yeah, the why is that I don't think you can put a number on success in the church. I struggle to think that there is an adequate number of people that you can say, okay, 15 people is not enough. So how much is enough? What is that number? And I don't know if we'll ever be satisfied with a number. But what I do think is that, it's easy for people to get discouraged at, say, only 10 or 15 students, but those are 10 or 15 students that need Jesus just the same as everyone else. And our why is to show them Jesus regardless of who's there, how many people are there. And one, I think it's a valuable question, and I know it's asked a lot, but I think investment, we want to see a return on investment in the moment. Yeah. But what we just talked about is we might not see that return on investment right then and there.
Yeah.
And that 10 or 15 is probably nowhere near how many students we actually see a week.
Yeah, I was going to say, that small group or whoever comes in for one Sunday night to, host a dinner, that group of students, and I've seen it because, I've been involved in your Sunday night, worships, and it can be a whole different group of students at every event. So they might just be singing one glimpse, but there's a whole different group that could come in the next week.
Yeah.
Because throughout the week, you guys see how many students? I mean, if you had to number it, it varies, but it's quite a bit.
Yeah.
That come in and out. Some of them just come in to use the bathroom.
Yeah, sure. We have nice bathrooms.
But hey, at least
Street.
they're using Christian bathrooms.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Well, and one thing that I've noticed is, especially here recently, is almost every event we have, there's at least one or two brand new faces that we have seen.
Which is really cool to see.
And so you just never know, that particular event may be the event they needed.
Yeah. Yeah, every appointment to me, every interaction, it could be a kingdom appointment.
Yep. Yes.
It could be a moment when that's who knows what they have been through, to intersect with your life at that given moment, could mean the world to them. And I think that's huge.
Yeah, we're just going out and throwing the seed, right?
Yeah. Right.
And like you said, those 10 or 15 that one night, if those 10 go out and teach and disciple 10 each, and the multiplication that happens is just it's a God thing.
That's exactly right. Well, we've had such a rich history of campus center ministers, and I'm so glad you guys are in and here and doing what you do, because a lot of times it's thankless. And I'm very proud of you, Jerrica, for talking passionately about what you do.
Thank you.
No tears. It was
No
great.
tears.
It was
It was
pretty
close
good.
there for a minute. I'm not gonna lie.
Pretty amazing. But what you have done is, I think even our producer Greg went through ASU, and I think that people like him have are testaments to what that community can do for you. And it wasn't his only community. It wasn't a lot of these people. It's not their only community, but it's just part of the texture, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
And it's part of those of our experience that I'm just going to continue to pray for you guys. I know it's not easy. You never know who you're going to get, right?
Yep.
But you're doing good work.
Thank you.
And we do like to kind of wrap up and end with allowing you a chance to share what others could do to help you. If someone's listening or watching and saying, well, I want to support, I want to get involved, what do you guys need? What can people do to help?
I think it starts with just pray for us. I think I speak for both of us in that this has been kind of a tough semester. We've had our fair share of student crisis, and that's always hard to help work with. And as I've gone into this semester, I've realized that we probably could be praying a lot more for these kids.
Yeah.
So I think that's where it starts, is prayer. And then for me personally, what I would like to see this church do is just, it might not be financial, it might not be food, but just one of the biggest things about campus ministry is we have to be willing to adapt. Every year we have to look at a system we've built and decide if it works or doesn't work. And that's kind of hard for people, because that means change comes often. And sometimes change is necessary often. And so I think what would be great is if the church would just fully support when things get changed. We make decisions for these students because we're making the decision that's best for them. And sometimes that might not be what the church think is best for them.
It's maybe not be comfortable for us.
It's not comfortable. And so I think it'd be, be okay with change and adaptability. And, I think this church has done great so far. We've made little changes, but there's a lot more to do. And so I think just pray for that, pray for our ministry, and pray for us as we help try to find the most effective ways to reach people and to share the gospel. That's for me.
The only other thing I would add is just, if you see college students, get to know them. I have to tell you that we have some phenomenal college students, and you will be blessed to know them. But come up to them on Sunday morning and introduce yourself and invite them to lunch. but you have to want to know them because you really want to know them. Don't have ulterior motives between, why you're making a relationship with them. Like, just get to know them to get to know them.
Yeah. Yeah. That's easy, right? Those are
Yeah.
easy. Those are easy things to need.
Yeah.
And kids love lunch, so take them to lunch. Take them to your favorite restaurant.
Make sure you pay, because they don't like to pay for their own
They
lunch.
probably don't
They
have
don't have money.
Yeah.
Yeah, when I was in college, money was no object because I had none. So it's the same way. I don't think that's changed at all.
I don't think so.
I'm so glad you guys are here. God bless you in your ministry. And I'm sure we'll get more why questions, about Campus Center. And if you do have a question, please just let us know. Scott@jscc.org or Jeff at jscc.org. Or you can just say Sam or Jerrica at jscc.org.
Yep.
We'd love to be able to help answer any questions you might have, any more of the whys. We'd love to answer that. Anything else, Jeff?
No, just thanks for being here and appreciate what you guys do. And I know it's difficult, and I know you sacrifice a lot of family time too. And so we love you guys and keep at it.
Thanks.
All right, thank you. Well, that's it for this episode. I'm Scott.
And I'm Jeff.
And this is the New Steeple
Same people.
podcast.
We'll see you next time.